Hello, Chris and all. Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to adjust things and make sure that everything looks semi-okay. I think everything looks semi-okay. Thank you so much. You've got the channel over the 10,000 subscriber mark. So, as promised, we're doing a Q&A. This is amazing. Thank you all so much. Thank you to all of my coffee donors. Thank you to all of my Patreon patrons. Thank you to James Feekins, who has designed the amazing logo that you now see in the corner of the video. I cannot thank you enough, James. That's amazing. I've linked to James's Instagram account in the description. He is the artistic genius who did the logo for this. Also, I'd like to do a little shout out to Goatworn Armband. You've probably heard of him. He's a fellow Viking reenactor, and he has an amazing podcast and does comics about Viking reenactment. You should check them out. He's also doing a fight for the homeless, which is going to be incredible, and he's going to be fighting a 7-foot-tall madman covered in chainmail. So, if you would like to support Goatworn in his fight for the homeless, you should check out the links in the description, because it's going to be the event of the season, and I'm doing a 5k in chainmail, and I think this is going to be the event of the season, so go check out Goatworn. The fight for the homeless is going to be amazing. It's for a really good cause, and you should absolutely follow the link down there. But right now is time for the Q&A, and you guys did not disappoint when I asked you to give me questions. You sent me like 50 questions for my 10k Q&A, so I am going to sit here, I am going to drink some mead from my genius way of holding a conical glass. I find that a gherkin jar works beautifully, so there you go. This is a homemade mead. I made this mead. This is a... I shouldn't really show the bottle because it's got a different label on it, but this is a 10.3% mead that has been in its bottle since the 19th of August 2020. And it was first made on the 2nd of April 2019, so it's nearly 2 years old. It's been in the bottle for about, what, 9 months? So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, well, it's not been 9 months, it's been, what, 6 months? It feels like a lot longer than that. So, I guess I just dig in, right? I don't really do these very often, so I'm a bit of a novice when it comes to Q&As, but I guess I'm going to start with the questions. I've tried to trim it down to a nice round 37, which is just every unique question I could find, because a lot of the questions are quite similar, so I'm going to try and combine a few of them, combine a few of the answers. Incidentally, the t-shirt is from my mate Miles, who is also helping out with some of the other stuff that we're doing on the channel, so thank you, Miles. Ma hwn yn ardderchog. Diolch yn fawr iawn i chdi. Thank you so much. If you want to get this t-shirt, which you should all want to get, then I'll put a link in the description for that as well. So, here we go. Grey Fox says, is there any Viking or medieval ahistoric trope that you actually like? No. Yeah. No, there are. Actually, yeah, if you have seen my video on reenactorisms, where I look at things that reenactors do a lot that aren't necessarily based on Viking Age stuff, we talk about the Ragnar haircut. I like that haircut. I like the shaved sides, or the short sides, and the long hair look. I think that's a cool hairdo. I think that's a cool thing. I think I could pull it off. Do you think I could pull it off? I think I could pull it off. So, Dylan Bennett, asks, what's your favourite piece of historical kit, both homemade and bought? Homemade? My favourite, whoopsie-daisy, thing that I've made, I think, is probably my sword scabbard, because it was my first attempt at a serious piece of finds-based reproduction, and it didn't go great. Like, it's meant to have raised moulding on it, and the raised moulding here and here didn't really work. The leather was too thick, the sewing is a bit shonky down at the bottom end, but this is like the first big multi-part, multi-material thing I made, and it's a wooden core. It's got a lime wood core, linden wood core with a sheep fleece lining. I've got some wool on the top to protect the mouth of the scabbard, and then it's wrapped in linen, and then it's got this leather cover on it, and then I've got some lovely brass fittings and bone fittings on it that I kind of need to do a little bit of resto work on. So it's not the best sword scabbard in the world, but I'm really, really proud of this as a first attempt. I think this is a really good first attempt at sword scabbard. I made it, what, 4 years ago now, I think? And I think it looks fine, and it works really, really well. So I'm super proud of my first ever sword scabbard. I'm going to be making a new sword scabbard this year, which I intend to cover. And I think the favourite things that I've bought probably have to be my swords, because I like swords, and I like my swords. And I now have 2 swords. I just took delivery of a nice new Type Q, and I also have this lovely, and this was made by a chap called Paul Binns. I'm very, very pleased with both my swords, so I love my swords. Swords are great. Everyone should love swords. Swords are fantastic. What are you guys' favourite things that you have? Your favourite bits of reenactment kit? Homemade and bought, like Diane says. Attain 2001 says, would you be interested in teaching simple Welsh phrases, like 1 or 2 toddlerish ones at the end of your episodes? It is such a nice sounding language, I would hate for it to become like Latin. I think we're doing pretty well so far, but I would be interested in teaching a little bit of Welsh. Ella dipyn bach, ryw brawddeg neu 2. Dwi'm yn sicr os dwi isio wneud nhw ar diwedd y fideos neu os dwi isio wneud fideos yn canolbwyntio ar iaith Gymraeg ar hyn o bryd, ond dwi isio wneud mwy o Gymraeg yn fideos fi. But you guys let me know if you think that like a sentence or 2, like a Jimmy's phrase of the week or something would be a fun thing for you guys at the end of my videos. Let me know if that's something that would appeal to you. I would love to do more Cymraeg in my videos. Attain. I'm going to be squiffy by the end of this. Sean Rush, whose avatar is the macho man himself. Oh yeah! Says, how do the approach of Wales and Ireland in promoting and teaching their respective languages vary? What aspects work or don't work well for either? So I know that in Ireland there is a lot less Irish than there is Welsh in Wales. I think you have to learn Irish in schools. I could be wrong if there are any Irish people who know. I think that Irish is compulsory. Like, I think you have to learn Gaelic in schools in Ireland up to a certain age. In Wales, you have to learn Welsh up to GCSE, which is like our first set of exams when you're 14, 15? Can't remember. And you have to. There are also Welsh medium schools in Wales, and I got dye on my fingers. I might have some red dye on my fingers. I don't know if they have as many of them in Ireland. I think Wales has kind of been the forerunner in Welsh medium schools where... And I went to a Welsh medium primary school. I went to a Welsh medium primary school in Bangor, where I'm from, and we had to speak Welsh with our teachers in class. We were expected to ask questions in Welsh. We were expected to ask, to go to the toilet in Welsh and that kind of thing. We were given our lessons through the medium of Welsh, except for our English lessons, and here I am doing a PhD through the medium of English in Scotland. It doesn't do you any harm. It doesn't mean you don't learn English. A lot of people think that a Welsh medium school or an Irish or a Gaelic medium school means you don't learn English. That's not what it means. It means that you are taught through the medium of that language. If you speak English at home, if you go on the internet, if you watch a YouTube channel, you will be using English outside of school. Like, English, you're not going to not be able to speak English fluently going to a Welsh language school. In Ireland, I don't know if that is as common, and I don't know if that is as promoted by the government. I don't think Ireland has made Gaelic cool. I think Welsh is cool. Like, people love that I speak Welsh. People love a Welsh speaker. Anywhere you go. I don't know if Ireland has the same attitude, where if you don't speak... Well, if you ask somebody who's in siarad Cymraeg, and they go, oh, not much, like, they feel guilty that they don't speak Welsh, and I don't know if that attitude's present in Ireland. You tell me if, like, people my age or our age kind of have that guilt. But it helps that I'm from a Welsh-speaking family and a Welsh-speaking part of the world. I think it's like 80% of people in Gwynedd speak Welsh, something like crazy like that, which is fantastic. Auntie Mabel. Cool. Says, hello, Siggy here. Are you Mabel or Siggy? I don't trust you. Viking Age reenactor based in Devon. Ah, lovely. Relatively new to my channel. Very impressive content. Siggy, you stop. There ain't enough historical channels on here of such a high calibre. You can stay. Question for you. Tell us about some of your favourite reenactment memories, maybe your favourite, your best ever event, fondest anecdote. Much love, kiss, 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 kiss. Very continental. Mwah, mwah. When it's 2 kisses, that's what I imagine. Like, mwah, darling, mwah, sweetie. Alright, Siggy, if that is your real name. Oops. Favourite reenactment memories. I got to stay overnight. I got to camp out in the Royal Armouries Museum in Leeds, and if you've ever been to the Royal Armouries, you'll know. But if you haven't, it is an awesome museum. They have an amazing collection of armours and weapons from, I think it spans about 2,000 years, and we got to stay there once for a medieval event we were doing, a 13th century event, and it was so cool to stay overnight there. I think some of my favourite memories are staying in cool places as a reenactor. So I got to stay in the Royal Armouries Museum, I got to stay in Pembroke Castle, like we slept in the chapel of Pembroke Castle, and it was incredibly cool. I have been and camped in Bamborough Castle 3 times now. Each time it was absolutely spectacular. You are a stone's throw away from Lindisfarne, where the Viking Age started, which is just fantastic. So I think some of my favourite memories are waking up with dawn. I always tend to wake up with the dawn when I'm camping. I think a lot of people do. And getting out of my tent, being hit by that fresh morning air, and just seeing where I am, and seeing myself in a medieval castle with a wood fire burning, people in medieval clothing, and just kind of going, wow. Fondest anecdote, oh my god, here we go. I think probably my favourite anecdote is from, it must be 4 or 5 years ago now, when myself and my friend Joe and our friend Zara, we went to a training event in deepest, darkest Oxfordshire, and if you have ever walked around a British country lane at night, you will know that it is pitch black, like fel bol buwch, as we say in Welsh. And we wanted to go to the pub, and the village where we were staying didn't have a village pub anymore. The village pub had closed down, which is a terrible thing to happen, but it happens a lot. But we wanted to go to the pub, and we were determined to find a pub. So we looked on our phones for the next village along. We were like, right, there must be a pub in the next village along. We looked, it said there was, so we walked to the village. And it was about a 2-mile walk in the pitch black on these twisty, unlit country lanes in the middle of the night. It was like 9 o'clock at night. And we got to the village, and the pub was closed. It was a community-owned pub, and it had shut. And a guy across the road saw us abandoning all hope, and he offered us a lift. But he had to go into his house first to get a tray of haggis, because they were celebrating Burns Night, the night after Burns Night, which is January the 25th. And this random Oxfordshire man gave us trays of haggis to hold in the back of his car, gave us a lift to the next village along, to the pub that turned out to be a Thai restaurant, and they bought the village pub to turn it into a Thai restaurant, but the local people were so angry and upset that until they installed beer pumps, nobody would go there. And now it is this thriving, I can't for the life of me remember where it is, this thriving Thai restaurant cum village pub, and they did like real ales and cask ales, or cask beers and real ales and cask beers. Johnny from the Craft Beer channel will be upset if I say craft ale, it's beer. We had like an amazing Thai green curry and also lovely pints, and it was just so weird. And then we got a taxi back to the village where we'd been staying, and everyone was like, where the hell have you been? We're like, we went to the pub. It was weird. It was so strange. E. Vanison. Hello. Congrats and well deserved. Polite bow. Thank you very much. Blowing my mind, honestly. Questions. What is your favourite fictional Viking, and who is your favourite historical Viking? Wow. I'm going to say my favourite historical Viking... My favourite historical Viking is probably Leif Erikson, because he went to the New World 500 years before Europeans went to the New World. He went to North America, and I think that's awesome. I think it's really cool that he did that, and he established a Viking settlement in North America, effectively. I think that's amazing, and I wish we had more information on how that had gone down, because we don't have any information on how it went from the Viking Age. We have information from after the Viking Age, from the sagas. We don't have any information on how it went from the Viking Age itself, from Leif Erikson, which I think is a terrible, terrible tragedy. I think it is such a tragedy that we don't have more information on how that expedition happened. My favourite fictional Viking is probably Askeladd from Vinland Saga, because he is a half Welsh, half Danish madman, and he's descended from King Arthur, and he's just mad, and it's great fun. Yes, I'm going to do a Vinland Saga video. Are you kidding me? Freddie Treehugger, what got you involved? Great name. Freddie Treehugger asks, what got you involved in historical reenacting in the first place? I went to see a historical reenactment. I went to see an English Civil War reenactment when I was about 16, 17, and I decided then that it looked really cool. I was in high school, I wanted a hobby. I felt like I wanted a historically based hobby. I loved researching, even when I was a kid. I loved researching history. Oh, anything, just researching, just learning. And historical reenacting seemed like a really cool way of doing that. You get to go on trips away, you get to play with your mates, you get to play with weapons, you get to dress up in old clothes. And at the start I was very much into the fighting and the weapons side of things, specifically muskets and firearms. And I thought the English Civil War would be a great period to do. I think the clothing looks really cool, I still do, and you get to play with guns. And I thought, brilliant, I have an interest in guns, I have an interest in history, let's join an English Civil War reenactment group. And I did. As soon as I went off to university, there happened to be a reenactment group that was mostly Civil War at the university, and I ended up playing with them for a few years. Uh-oh. Time for a top-up. Maeve. Malia Locke. Question, favourite stitch or edging finishing method? And perhaps a sample. Ooh. Honestly, I don't really do much. I don't really do much at all. I know a lot of Viking reenactors do loads of lovely like zigzag stitches and things on their clothes, but genuinely, most of what we actually have from the Viking Age suggests that in terms of visible seam finishes, they didn't really do very much. I think we've got a couple of examples of decorative external seam finishes. The one that I really like is a presumed tunic sleeve reinforcement from York, and my tunic is currently in the washing machine, so I'm going to have to get Editing Jimmy to put a picture of it there for you guys. And I did this in silk because I'm a fancy boy. The original I think is in wool, but I wanted to do it in silk, and I think that's one of my favourite ones because it is an external stitch, but it's also a reinforcing stitch for your cuff, so it stops your cuff from fraying. And I tried it, and it does work, but you have to do it really, really close together, or it looks like Frankenstein monster stitches. So keep those when you basically do. It's effectively a blanket stitch, right? But when you go to the next stitch, make it as close as possible to the previous stitch, so that it looks nice and fine and even. Or use a slightly thicker thread. I think the thread I used was a bit too thin. Cartoon Kitty. What is your preferred colour of nail polish? I really like a dark green or a dark red, because my colouring, I'm really pale. I think that deep reds, deep greens, and deep purples really work on me, and I like to zazz that up a little bit, zhuzh it up with some gold flecks. So I really like a dark green with gold flecks in a transparent suspension. You know who you are, and thank you. I was told that a base coat and a top coat is going to be necessary for that kind of thing, so I've taken to doing a base coat, transparent base coat. I'll do a couple of coats of the green, or the red, or the purple, and then I will do a coat of the gold flecks, and then I'll do a top coat, and maybe 2 top coats. And I just use the base coat as a top coat as well, because it basically does the same thing. So, there you go. Jennifer Bung, or Bunge. Jennifer. Hi, asks, what is your biggest project that you want to do but haven't started, and why? Oh boy. this is bloody lovely. I really want to make a coracle. And if you don't know what a coracle is, it's a traditional boat made from woven willow or woven green branches and animal skins. And I really want to make one. I really, really want to sail a coracle. I want to row a coracle across the Thames. And I really want to sail a coracle across the Menai Straits from mainland Wales to Anglesey. And I haven't started one yet because I don't have the room. I live in a third floor flat to Americans, and we don't have a garage, we don't have a shed. If anyone in Edinburgh has a garden shed they want to lend me so I can make a coracle. Gil Tabor, or Tabor, if there was one moment in your chosen historical era that you could attend, which one? And thank you. I think I would like to go... I would love to see Charlemagne crowned as Emperor of the Romans in AD 800. I would love to see that. Charlemagne and Carolingian fashion was high fashion in Europe in the Viking Age. And I would love to be there at that moment where after 324 years, the Pope crowns somebody Roman Emperor and then go to Brittany and speak Welsh and drink cider. Ranulph, what is archaeology like? Fascinating, poorly paid, wet, bad for your knees, and one of the noblest jobs in the world. Yeah, I've worked in various types of archaeology. I've worked in field archaeology in the UK, in North America, in the Republic of Ireland, the Isle of Man. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There's lots of different ways you can work as an archaeologist. I've worked in research archaeology as well. I've done public outreach. I've done digital archaeology. And it's great. It's great. It's an industry that's poorly paid, poorly regulated to an extent, so you can earn bad money if you're not careful. But it's one that I encourage everyone to at least try. If you can go on a dig, if you can find a website, British Archaeological Jobs Resources is a good one. I'll link to it. Go on an excavation, go on a survey, go on a day trip to an archaeological dig if they have open days. They should have open days. And yeah, just check it out. Johanna Geisel. So, when do we march and which city do we take? Sod it. We take London. The fools have dismantled their walls and the river is entirely undefended. We march on London. Gather your weapons, your shields, and bring me a ship for every 20, and we will take London by storm. My legions. Ad signa. Butters89, 1989, asks, no one knows where the location of Mount Baden was held. Where do you believe it was fought? Baden Hill, mate. Somewhere probably in the south. It's a hill, it's not a mountain. Baden Hill. Somewhere with a prominent hill, so maybe like somewhere in the South Downs? Possibly? But it's difficult to tell. If Arthur was based in the southwest, in Cornwall, it makes sense for it to be somewhere... I mean, it could have been somewhere like Battle Hill, where the Battle of Hastings was fought. It could even have been Battle Hill. Senlac Hill, where the Battle of Hastings was fought. Probably, though, somewhere on the south coast. Probably somewhere on the south coast of Britain. Because as far as I know, Arthur prevented a major Saxon incursion, rather than pushing back a major Saxon incursion. So probably somewhere on the south coast. I would go with that. Mads Rasmussen. Do I think that William forced Harold to swear he would help him get the throne of England? Forced? I don't know if forced is the right word, but I think he probably pressured him. I think he probably made him an offer he couldn't refuse. Effectively said, I mean, you can not help me take the throne of England, but I will remember that you didn't help me when the time comes. And obviously I think then Harold went, yeah, fine, no problem, absolutely, whatever. Took the throne himself and said, right, screw William, what's he going to do? He's in Normandy, I've just defeated the Vikings, I've defeated Norway, what's William going to do? But yeah, I suspect he probably persuaded strongly. Erin Charles, tell us about the archaeological fieldwork you've done. Where was it, and what was your role, and what was the coolest archaeology feeling you felt? My fieldwork, I excavated while I was a student on the Isle of Man, very badly. I've done a lot of graveyard surveying in Ireland, the Isle of Man, Scotland, Wales, England, Canada, the USA. I excavated briefly in Canada. I excavated very briefly in France and in Italy. And the coolest archaeology feeling I've had was probably, and in Wales, was probably when I was in Wales and we found a pre-Roman Iron Age gold ring. It just made an impression on me that I was occupying a space that human beings had occupied for that long. It was really cool. Beatriz Perola, congratulations, thank you very much. If you could learn any skill in 10 minutes, what would you choose? Blacksmithing. I would love to learn blacksmithing. Lisa Cheney, thank you very much. As a Minnesotan, Minnesota, I'm so sorry. What is my opinion on the whole non-football playing Vikings in Minnesota? It's fake. The Kensington runestone is absolutely fake. It's clearly made by somebody who is a classical education, who has been looking at too many Greek stelae. It's laid out like a Greek stele or a Latin stele. It's just the most unconvincing runestone I've ever seen. Doesn't look like a Viking Age runestone. Sorry, I'm really sorry. I wish there'd been Vikings in Minnesota. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Or possibly your opinion on football playing ones as well. Minneapolis Vikings. I mean, I think they could do well this year, right? I think they've got a few trades that they should make and that they could make. I don't have a team, by the way. I don't have an American football team that I follow. But if any of you care to suggest one, make me some recommendations. Sarah Bettany, what parts of the North culture do you most and least admire? And thank you very much for your kind words, Sarah. I think I most admire the Norse culture. I think I most admire their artistic. I think their ability to take the artistic elements of another culture and make it their own just as well. So one example I think would be the way that they take insular art from Ireland. They take it, look at it, make it their own, and then make equally and more beautiful pieces of jewellery and art in this Hiberno-Norse style like this that we see. The least admired part of their culture is probably the slavery, just like everyone else in the period. Slavery was a big part of the economy and a big part of the culture of basically every culture in Western Europe, basically every culture in Europe at the time, and it's not sexy. Autumn Winters, great name. What can I tell you about the sacrificial kettle and ceremonies surrounding it? Was there one person who tended the kettle? Was it a man or a woman? We don't really know. Sorry, we don't really know very much about how Norse religion was practiced. We know that they had temples and sacred groves, and the rest is effectively speculation. And if anyone tells you it's not speculation, they're basically lying to you, because it is speculative. Most of it is speculative. So I suspect that it was probably a woman. We have more mentions of women involved with magic and ritual than men. However, having said that, we do have runestones that seem to depict bearded men in charge of religious rituals and sacrificial rituals. So it's difficult to say. It's a fascinating question, though. If any of you guys have ideas on this, please do let us know, because I would love to know more about this aspect of it. But I would imagine there was a person who was responsible for tending to it, and I would suspect that at least some of the time that person would be a woman. But again, we don't know how gendered those roles were. We don't. And if anyone tells you we do, they're lying. Diane Sawyer Dooley. Hello, Diane. Thank you for your support. What is my favourite pre-17th century food, and why is it savoury toasted cheese? Oh boy. My favourite pre-17th century food... Okay, my favourite to make is Tudor meat pies, because they look amazing, they smell amazing, and they always go down a treat with my friends. My favourite to actually use is probably garum. And if any of you follow Max at Tasting History, you'll know that will make him very happy. But I think garum, I love garum. It's a great ingredient. And people always get a bit squeamish about it, but I've used it in like stir fries, and I've used it for certain sort of Southeast Asian cuisine, and it really, really works as a salty fish sauce, almost like a soy sauce fish sauce combined, very sparingly. I think it really works. So I think garum is probably my favourite. Piscis or Piscis or Pisces. If I could change one misconception about Vikings from mankind's brain once and for all, which would I change? The association of the Vikings and the North with white supremacy. 100%. I would wipe that from the mind of humanity because it has no place in a modern, enlightened culture. The idea that there are people out there who believe that the Vikings were white supremacists with no evidence prior to the 19th century is just so crazy to me. And I want that to not be a thing because it's such a dumb thing. A Silver Fox in Tasmania asks, does this mean a 10k in kit run now? No. Slinky.blackcat. Wow. Does this mean you'll be running a 10k as well? Joke. Do I have any costuming goals for this year, or any other projects in mind? Like growing my own hops for beer. I have wanted to grow my own hops for beer for a while now, and we actually have a tiny back garden, and I am looking into the potential of growing hops, but I don't know how many seasons it takes before hops are usable. I think I need probably a little while, and I know they can be quite promiscuous and zoom around and grow like mad. So maybe not hops this year, but I do have some interesting projects. I want to make another sword scabbard this year. I want to make my 1750s suit this year. And I know I've stalled on the videos for that. I'm really sorry. I've also stalled on the production side of things, so I will get around to that again. I want to make... I want to finish my Viking dress. And I want to grow my YouTube channel. Septic Scorpio. Scorpio! Yo, congrats on 10k. Thanks, bro. Oh, yeah, please do so some of the stuff I featured. You hardly know what you're doing. Do I have any tips for starting a reenactment group or a LARP group? I've never LARPed, so I cannot offer you any help there. What do you need to start a reenactment group? Dude, you need a couple of mates who are interested in reenacting. That's literally it. Get 3 of your mates together, sew yourselves some reenactment kit, find a park or a nice space, or even just your house, and make your kit, and then you're a reenactment group, my man. That's literally all you need. If you want to do a LARP group, I think you generally use like forests and parks and that kind of thing. So, you know, phone up your local authority or your equivalent. I've got out of focus. Why am I out of focus? Stop that. Cease. And if you want to do public-facing reenactment at a site, get in touch with the site manager. If it's a public, like a public house, if it's a pub, go to the pub. If it's a country house or a castle or something like that, get in touch with the manager, get in touch with the events coordinator, and just say, like, we'd really like to come sit outside your castle. We can make a little cordon so the public don't run all over us. Can we come spend the afternoon in your castle, please? The worst they can say is no. I mean, like, Brandon F does loads of events where it's just him and his mates, like, in kit walking through the forest, and they take cool video footage and photos. That's reenactment. You can grow from there, you know? Start with that. Maybe get a website going with those nice photos of you in kit. If you get an authentic tent or something, and you pitch that in your garden or in the forest, put that on your website, and then email a local park or a local, like, forest park or something, and be like, hey, is it okay if my reenactment society just does a little display this weekend? We don't need much apart from a toilet, drinking water, and firewood, and we'll tidy everything up once we leave. Is that cool? And, like I say, the worst they can say is no, so go for it. Lucas Gulladal says, do you watch history-interested YouTubers like Shadiversary? Happy Shadiversary, darling. Oh, please don't tell him I said that. like Shadiversity or Scalagrim. I subscribe to Shad, I subscribe to Scalagrim, I subscribe to Brandon, I subscribe to Lloyd over at Lindy Bage, I subscribe to Modern History TV, I subscribe to Atun Shea Films, Opus Eleni, Bernadette Banner, Morgan Donner, Rachel Maxey, all the costubers, in fact. I subscribe to everyone. Yes. Yes. Yes, I've been binging British muzzleloaders recently because he's just wonderful. His academic style in kit and the way he acknowledges all of the shortcuts he's taken in his kit and is so honest with the shortcuts and the reason behind those shortcuts that he takes, and they're all so well justified, just immediately got me on board. So yeah, absolutely. Loads and loads and loads of YouTubers that I really, really enjoy and admire, and one day hope to be on a par with. I really want to be on, not in terms of subscribers necessarily, just in terms of the quality of the videos that they're putting out. I admire so many of them, like Atton Shea, British Muzzleloaders, Bernadette, Abby Cox, of course. I wish I was half as funny as Abby. Lara, etc. You would love to hear about my YouTube experience, would you? What inspired me to start making videos? I was told to start a YouTube channel. Actually, yeah, I was told to start a YouTube channel, and then told I wouldn't by my friend Becky. So go bully Becky Cloonan, because she told me that I wouldn't do a YouTube channel, but I totally have, so take that, Becky. Becky's a legend. Nobody be mean to Becky, or I will find you and I will cut you. Beat you to death with my fuzzy, fuzzy mittens. What do but yeah, when lockdown started, I needed something to do. I needed a new hobby. I couldn't reenact, and I thought, well, you know what? The heck with it. I'm going to make a YouTube channel. Literally just for fun, literally just as a hobby. What do I like or dislike about being a YouTuber? It is so wild to me that I can consider myself a YouTuber. I love all of the amazing, positive, encouraging comments I get from you guys. I honestly do. I genuinely love it. And some of them truly move me. So I've had a few comments on my video about intersex history from intersex people and non-binary people as well, telling me how much it means to them that I made that video. And that means so much. That means so much. Really, 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 really moving to know that I mean, it's horrible to know that is the first time some of you guys have felt recognised on this website. Because this is the second biggest search engine on the planet after Google. And the fact that you are on here absorbing and watching content, and my video is the first time you felt seen, is mind-blowingly sad to me, but also makes me feel like I've done something truly important and worthwhile. And I've had numerous First Nations and Indigenous people say after my video about that guy from the capital that it made them feel really encouraged, it made them feel recognised, it made them feel safer in the knowledge that people outside of your area saw what was going on with your culture being appropriated. And that means a lot to me. It means a lot that the right people are happy with what I'm doing. I dislike that because I do Viking related videos, I get lots of white supremacist idiots on my stuff. I get lots of people who are completely ignorant of the way history and archaeology work. I don't like that. Obviously I don't like that. But having said that, all of the mean comments are still engagement, and it means that people who do mean comments on my videos and who share my videos to forums just to complain about my videos are literally paying me to be mean about my videos. So I really love that. I love that YouTube means that the way YouTube works means that people being mean about my videos by commenting are literally paying me and making my channel grow when they think that they're damaging me and hurting my channel, chef's kiss. What have I learned along the journey to 10,000 subscribers? I've learned that, well, I suppose in terms of YouTube, I've learned that it's a wonderful community on here. The HistoryTube and the CosTube communities are wonderful, inclusive, hard-working communities of good, honest people who just want everyone in that community to do really well. And I've also learned that YouTubing is hard work. Like, making YouTube videos takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of skills that I didn't have when I started this channel. Any kind of videography, any kind of video editing, any kind of sound editing, audio work, making thumbnails, search engine optimization, any of that. None of that was stuff I knew about. When I started this channel, I had no idea any of that really existed. So I have learned a great deal. I've learned some hard skills, and I've also learned to just ignore the haters. Idiot's gonna idiot. Nazi Viking off. Lady McBite, m'lady. Hi, nice to see you. Do we get to see your partner? If my partner wishes to be seen, then at some point you may get to see my partner, but that is not my decision to make. Am I going to make a whole Viking Age female kit for myself? What is my favourite colour? A deep green, kind of this green right here. I think it's my favourite colour. Nice deep foresty green. What is my favourite dinosaur? Diplo. Gotta be a Diplo. Gotta be a long neck. Amelia S. Who are some of my favourite poets? I've always been a fan of Herth Wyn. Probably people like... I do love Hilaire Belloc. Some of the Kinfeirdd, so Aneirin and Taliesin, obviously, you gotta love them. Who are some of my favourite ancient writers? Oh, I've jumped the gun there, haven't I? Sorry. So I've always enjoyed the writings of people like Plato. I read Suetonius a fair bit. Probably, I mean, Homer, obviously. Gotta love a bit of Homer. I quite enjoyed reading Tacitus. 6 foot fetus. Jeez. Oh no. Oh no, God. 6 foot fetus has asked, what are some of your personal favourite historical movies or shows? The giant unborn child. Personal favourite historical movies and shows. Blackadder. All of the Blackadders, but the costuming in Blackadder 2 and Blackadder the Third. Upstart Crow is very, 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 very good. I have always loved All Quiet on the Western Front, which is a film about the First World War. I loved Band of Brothers when that first came out. I just absolutely drank that in. I love films that are silly, but that are meant to be serious. So Troy, Kingdom of Heaven, Gladiator, Ben-Hur, The Vikings, obviously. Yonder is the castle of my father. You gotta love it. Ormond Berrington. Did the Vikings have pizza and beer? Yes! I mean, they didn't have tomatoes, so it literally had to be just a plain cheese pizza. But they had flatbread and cheese and meat, and they had beer. Pizza enough for you? Isaiah Huerta. Do I brew my own mead? Maybe. Maybe a review of some of my favourite meads. Hell yeah, that'd be amazing. Don't be sorry. Goodness me. Yeah, I'd love to do a mead review, actually, at some point. That'd be really fun. Yeah, I'll do a mead review. That sounds cool. Kirsten Sandblom. Do you ever wear your reenactment clothes in your daily life? Quite rarely, actually. Quite rarely that I do that. I know people kind of expect me to be like Zach Pinsent wears his historical clothes as his everyday clothes. But that's not like a gimmick. That's not a gimmick. That is Zach. He is comfortable in those clothes. He wears them as his clothes. I am comfortable in my reenactment clothes, but I don't wear them every day, usually. I have worn my cloak a lot, and I wear some of my pillbox caps a lot. And I do wear my green jacket, my wraparound jacket, my clap and rock. I do wear that. But I tend not to go out in like my hose, my brazen hose and my Viking shoes, because I need ankle support and foot support, and trousers are really comfy. So yes and no. Lord of Uskolak. Just thought of something else. Do I have any interest in tabletop miniatures, war games, and if so, which ones do you collect or play? That seems like a bit of a balmy notion, if you ask me. So I had everything up on my laptop and it died, so I've got them all up on my phone now. Kieran says, do I have any additional tips for someone who would have to rock up as a solo female who's maybe a bit socially anxious? So, oh no, you had less than ideal experience. I'm so sorry. This sucks that I would say, I know as a solo female it's a lot more anxiety inducing for you than it would be for probably a solo male to turn up to an event. I would say maybe, I don't want this isn't victim blaming. I'm not saying that it's up to you to turn up and make yourself feel safe. Obviously, that's not up to you. That is up to the group that you join to make you feel safe and included. And if you are involved in the group that previously made Kieran feel uncomfortable, then shame on you and do better. But I would say maybe let them know that you're turning up as someone who's had some bad experiences before with other groups. Maybe just let the group that you are thinking of attending know that you've had some of these issues. Maybe bring someone else along as a buffer. A couple of my friends have come to meetings and come to events with other societies, and they've just brought a mate along who's maybe not 100% interested, but is there as backup. But I would say maybe let the group know that you've had these bad experiences before, and hopefully that will help them say, right, okay, we need to make sure that we don't invite the dickheads, or whatever it may be. But I think that then puts the ball in their court in terms of saying, right, I've had some bad experiences. It's on you guys to make this a good experience for me. I really hope you find a nice group as well. I really, really do. So Biased says, what myth about Vikings do I wish was actually true? I wish that they had been feminists. I wish they'd been completely equal with their women, and they had treated them as well as they treated their men, and they were just brilliant. But they weren't. They were not a feminist society. They were a distinctly patriarchal society. They were better than some, but yeah, I wish they'd been a properly egalitarian society in that way. Nazog Gash, are you planning to make a video about the Holy Roman Empire? Yep. And a lot of YouTubers only focus on Western Europe and Italy. Yeah, absolutely. I love the Holy Roman Empire. I find the Holy Roman Empire fascinating. In fact, I was teaching my students about it this week, and it is a fantastic, incredible mess of a state that worked for 800 years? It's just amazing. And the depth of the history and the breadth of the history and the influence it had on Europe and European culture and politics is just astonishingly cool. So yes, I do intend to make a video about the HRE at some point. Oh my god, and there we go. That is going to be... I think that's going to be the end of it. Wow, this is going to be a long video. Guys, if you've survived this long, thank you so much. Diolch yn fawr iawn I pob un ohonoch chi. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your coffee donations. Thank you for your Patreon subscriptions. Thank you for your comments, your emails and messages. I know I don't answer all of your emails and messages. I'm really sorry. I have suddenly found myself a person with 100 messages a day. Not a day, 100 messages a week on top of all of my PhD work and emails and other job stuff. So I'm really sorry. I am trying to get as many messages answered as I can, but it may take me a while. So thank you ever so much. I'm overwhelmed. I'm absolutely overwhelmed, and not just by the Mead, but by you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of my YouTube channel. Thank you for helping to build this community that we seem to be building, that I'm really, really thrilled is becoming an actual thing. And Tantro nesa, na I ddeud hwyl am y tro. Till next time, I will say bye for now. You lovely bunch of nerds. 1,500 points of Skitari, 2,500 points of Katachan Jungle Fighters, 2,000 points of Ultramarines, about 1,000 points of Sisters of Battle and Witch Hunters.